Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone doing this morning? Yeah. All right. Okay, so we've got a biggest NANOG ever. All right. Yeah. So folks at the back of the room, there's still a bunch of seating up here near the front. Don't be shy coming up, left and right sides. Still got about 20, 30 seats up here, so come on up. I just wanted to welcome everyone to NANOG 64. Yay! And we'll have the presentation up there in a sec. Here we go.
But you're into my presentation now.
Yeah, it went a little too far. Okay. Nope. All right, good morning. My name is Dan Golding. I'm the chairman of NANOG's board of directors. I wanted to welcome everyone here to NANOG 64. This is NANOG's largest meeting ever, and I wanted to take this opportunity to welcome you as our members, as our attendees, as our sponsors and friends, and also to take an opportunity this morning to thank some of the people who've helped to make this NANOG meeting and all of the other NANOG meetings possible. So before we start out, I wanted to recognize the folks who primarily make this meeting happen, and that is our NANOG staff, led by our Executive Director, Betty Burke. So folks could... So some of the other folks who make this thing happen, and NANOG is a little bit different. Most of the conferences, most of the events you'll go to, they're thrown by vendors, they're done by media companies. NANOG is a very different kind of animal. NANOG is an organization run by volunteers and a very, very small professional staff. And those volunteers are composed of members of the community who are elected or who volunteer for various positions of responsibility. Those include membership on our board of directors, our program committee, our communications committee, and a variety of other tasks, including our technical committee. First, let me talk a little bit about the attendee demographic. What you'll notice here today is that the folks who attend a NANOG are a little bit different from the folks you see at most conferences, especially folks you see in a lot of conferences in the San Francisco Bay Area. We're not full of venture capitalists. We're not full of people pitching ideas. What we are full of, however, is what we're full of are network engineers. So what we are and what we always have been is an operators forum for professional network engineers, the folks who run the networks, the folks who run the broadband networks, the folks who run the content networks, content delivery networks, universities, nonprofits, government networks, you have it. And our goal is education. Our goal is to raise the level of skill. Our goal is to share knowledge with each other. Our goals here are not to sell things. Our goals here are not to make money for people. This is sort of an old-time event that's carried over from the first days of the internet, and it's successful, even more successful today. That doesn't mean NANOG isn't evolving. We're evolving quite a bit. We're constantly looking and searching to make NANOG more useful and more important for the folks who come and attend. And that's one reason I think you'll see that our program committee, who's put together an incredibly great program for us, is really focusing on a lot of the new technology and a lot of the new advancements that we're all having to learn to stay relevant in a rapidly changing network landscape. One other thing that's special about a NANOG conference is this has a peer-reviewed program. Now, one thing you're going to see this morning is a lot of sponsors, and we really appreciate our sponsors. Our sponsors are your employers, your vendors, the people all around us. But one difference between an ordinary conference and NANOG is that the sponsors don't control the program here. And I say this as someone who works for one of the sponsors. When you look at the program that's put together by the program committee, there's no pay for play here. There's no control. Once you get into one of these rooms, everything sponsorship related, except for a brief thank you, is absolutely off limits. And I believe we're one of the very few conferences in the country and in the region, regardless of whether they say so or not, we're one of the very few that can make that claim, and it's absolutely 100% true. And I'd like to thank our program committee, who zealously guards their independence and who guards the integrity of NANOG meetings. Thank you. Now, so NANOG has been around now for almost 22 years, and it grew out of the original NSF regional tech meetings. In the past couple of years, we've been trying to do a few things differently. So in addition to the 3-time-a-year full NANOG conferences, we also do what are called NANOG on the Road conferences, which are smaller events held in smaller cities where we try to get the local operator community involved. We try to bring some of this content from the larger conferences to smaller venues where we typically have 50 to 100 attendees. I urge folks attending this conference to come to the NANOG on the Road events, both to bring content, to meet prospective engineers, to do a little recruiting, to socialize. They're great events. NANOG also has a strong commitment to supporting new operators. So NANOG is a membership organization, and some of the folks here are members and some aren't. But the board of directors is accountable to the members. And when we listen to them, what they tell us their most significant concern is where do I find new network engineers? Where do I find, people who are at least as good as the people I have now, more of them, and folks who understand a lot of the new technologies coming down the line? So NANOG as an organization has a commitment to supporting new operators, both new network providers and also existing providers looking for new sources of staff. We have a couple of programs that support that. We've got the College Immersion Program, and do we have any College Immersion Program students in the room today? Raise your hands if you're a College Immersion Program student. So we definitely have a couple of those folks in the room. And what we do is we work with professors in network engineering, undergraduate and graduate programs to bring groups of their students to NANOG conferences so that they can learn a little bit about carrier network engineering. And so they can sort of advance in their coursework and we get a chance to meet them. We also have a variety of fellowships, the Operator of Tomorrow Fellowship, the Abba Regis Fellowship, where we try to take folks who are promising future operators and fly them out to NANOG, all expenses paid, so that they can learn about what we're doing and have a chance to meet the folks here who are attendees. So the last thing I want to do is to reiterate again, we're vendor neutral. The program is off limits. That being said, I do want to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors. We have two groups of sponsors. We have our premium sponsors who sponsor NANOG's year-round activities, and we also have individual meeting sponsors. I'd like to thank all of them, and you'll see their logos on various boards around the event. So what should you expect here at NANOG 64? You've got a couple different things. You've got the general session content, and that's going to be in this room. It's what we call the plenary session, and it's content that's of interest to, we feel, all of the folks coming to NANOG. We also have tracks. Those tracks are in smaller rooms generally. They run against each other, and they are areas of interest to a subset of folks. Good examples are the peering track, the data center track, and a variety of other sort of special interest tracks. We encourage everyone to attend them, and if you find one you're not interested in, you're free to jump out and jump into another track. It's great content. We also have tutorials. Those are primarily tomorrow. This time there's some outstanding tutorials, things like Python for NetOps, DWDM troubleshooting. The tutorials have become one of the crown jewels of NANOG to the point where the tutorial presentations are used as a standard part of NOC and network engineering training at many, many carriers. Strongly encourage people to attend the tutorials. The content is really great. We have lunches today and tomorrow. All of our food is up on Betty on the 32nd floor. So there is an elevator ride to get to the food. We apologize. The elevators usually work. Yeah, so the elevators usually work. They're great. They're very fast. They do run on Windows. Yes. So, sorry, Microsoft people. So we've got a social tonight. The social tonight is sponsored by our friends at Netflix. And then we have the beer and gear tomorrow night. And then we also have a Tuesday evening social as well. So here's some of our information. I think this is up to date, more or less. We have a lot of newcomers at this event. 374 folks, probably a little more by now, are new to NANOG, and we appreciate you coming. Thank you very much. Of the folks, of our 718 NANOG members, 223 of them are attending this event. Thank you, members. We look forward to seeing you in our members' breakfast tomorrow morning. And we thank you because those members are not only folks who pay money to be members, they're also the folks who make up our volunteer corps. They're the folks who are on our program committee, our communication committee. They help with our educational efforts, the folks on our board of directors. To our members, thank you so much. And finally, attendees. Our number so far is 1,162. I don't think that counts single day attendees. Do we have an update, Mr. Charnock? It's higher than that. So it's some insane number of people. In any event, as we reach 1,200, this is our largest ever NANOG. Our second largest now was, I'm sorry? 1,170 and climbing. And that beats our last record in Bellevue of 899 attendees. So thanks everyone for coming. We really appreciate it. Here's a list of our host connectivity premium and infrastructure sponsors. These are not all of our sponsors. These are the folks who are sponsoring either annual sponsorships or they're helping us with the connectivity or they're the meeting host. Thank you to all of these folks. Now I'd like to introduce the host. So every NANOG is a host, which is a company that's part of our community, and they put in a tremendous amount of work, both money and time and effort into making these events a success. Our host for this NANOG is Netflix. I'd like to introduce Aaron Klink for a few words. Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Sam. I'm Aaron Klink, Senior Manager for Network Strategy at Netflix, and we are happy to again host here in San Francisco with this amazing turnouts. In addition, our amazing weather, which we hope you all enjoyed this morning. So, as some of you may have noticed, I'm not Dave Temkin. I am not the chairman of the board of NANOG. So surprisingly, Dave is not on a plane. He's not on a boat. He's not on a train, and he's not in an Uber. He's actually meeting with executive management at Netflix in Los Gatos, and this is kind of the overall Netflix discussion. So why are we interested in NANOG? Why are we sponsoring? Why are we hosting this? Why are we so involved? And it's because Netflix runs on the internet. And that kind of goes along with engineering and ops and interconnection and provisioning and hardware and software and all the other related services that are involved in our business that people in this room and in the NANOG community represent and make happen on a daily basis. So when we see a Sandvine report that says Netflix is roughly 37% of downstream traffic for peak evening hours, that's something that resonates on a global basis, both within our org and within the overall NANOG and global internet kind of operations and engineering community. What we look at NANOG as a platform for education and for sharing best common practices and overall driving the scale of the internet forward. So, kind of real quick, we have a kind of medium-sized presence here. We have Dave, David, Mara, Mike, Ryan, me, of course, Peter Cohen, Jill, Nina, Gabe, Fabrice, Brady, Anina, and Nat, who I haven't met yet because I think he started on Thursday, and yet he's here. So we'll find him and, give him a good harassing. So say hi to the new guy at Netflix if you run into Nat. And this is where these slides got. So the Windows XP embedded is what is taking you to and from the 32nd floor. And Christian Koch apparently was stuck on the elevator for only 5 minutes while it rebooted earlier, coming down from breakfast. So we got that in. If anyone else has some lovely elevator shots later, we hope you're not stuck too long in the elevator. And finally, Netflix has jobs, and the 14 of us are around here to discuss if there are openings that you're interested in discussing or have any questions about Netflix overall and how you can kind of better be involved with us in an ISP or better be involved in NANOG. We're happy to play ambassador for that. Thanks.
Thank you, Aaron. Next, I'd like to introduce Mike Vogel with Comcast. Comcast is one of our two connectivity sponsors for this event. As you've noticed, we have blinding fast internet, as we probably should in an internet engineering conference. So Mike, take it away.
Thank you. And in fact, there's so many people here, we had to have two connectivity sponsors, so it's that big. In terms of what we do, a lot of people know what we do from an ISP perspective, but we do a lot of other things. What we did for the connectivity at this conference is we utilized our Comcast Business Group, which through the standard operating process, they provisioned fiber from the street into the facility, and we turned that up in generally less than a month. From the local network, it goes out to our main ASN 7922, where it reaches our global network. Some of the other things we do at Comcast that people may be aware of, may not be aware of before content ends up on the internet, it's generally produced via Comcast Wholesale My Business Unit or at one of our production units like Universal, Carnival Films, Focus Features, etc. Some of the things we've been doing recently in the news, we're rolling out 2 gig residential service to the home, starting in Atlanta, moving into the Bay Area and other metropolitan markets. Live streaming to the X1 Xfinity platform in the home. Some things we're doing with the open source community with Apache Traffic Server and OpenStack. A lot of things we're happy to provide information. We post a lot of things on GitHub, and we're more than happy to provide more information to the open source community. Other thing coming out later this year is 4K UHD set-top box connectivity to the home. Some of the things with our NBC Universal group, which is driving a lot of the content on the internet, Fast and Furious hitting 1 billion earlier in the year, Pitch Perfect having a major opening for a May film, Minions films coming out this summer, my favorite Ted 2 that I'm looking forward to, and next week Jurassic World opening up. We are sponsoring the break later today at 2:30. We'll be giving away a couple gift baskets from NBC Universal, as well as having an entry where we'll be providing Fandango gift certificates, another Comcast company, to allow people to see, hopefully, Lost World or another Universal film this summer. So thank you again.
Okay. So this is our biggest conference ever. Accordingly, we have 2 connectivity sponsors. I'd like to introduce Mr. Jack Waters, Chief Technical Officer of Level 3. Jack?
I don't have any slides. Sorry. I'm breaking ranks here. Yay, woo! So, I have a confession to make. Dan mentioned the first NANOG was 23 years ago. My last NANOG was 23 years ago. And to be 100% clear, I've actually never been to a NANOG. My last meeting was a regional techs meeting in Boulder, Colorado, where I live today, where, for those that remember Mark Knopfer and Elise Garrick, I'm not sure any of them, that's where the name NANOG came from, that meeting. So it has a kind and dear part of my heart. I see 2 people in the room that were actually there that day. Sean Kennedy, way in the back there, from XO, and Bill Manning. So thanks for sticking it out, guys. You know, it's kind of funny, the things that we worried about back then were, I was trying to make notes, you know, gosh, you guys think about all these very complicated things now, and back then we were worried about the T3 NSFnet, CIDR, for those that remember classless routing, IBM RTs, remember IBM RTs, the routers, remember them? Yeah, those are awesome. Sorry, IBM. NSF proposal 9352. Does anybody know what that is? That was the privatization of the NSFnet, which created all this great public networking stuff that we all are enjoying today. Those were awesome times. There were 30 people in the room, just to be clear back then. There are 1,200 people in the room were registered today. So it does still feel like the same spirit that I remember back many, many years ago, same interest and love of the internet. I think the bar bills might be bigger, right? That's what I've heard. There's a little drinking that still goes on here. Is that right? A little bit? Okay. And so Level 3, I think our company started about 18 years, right about 18 years ago. I joined when there were about 10 people. Today we have about 13,000, 10,000 here in the U.S., another couple thousand in Latin America, another 1,500 or so folks in Europe. So we're a big company now, but we still love the internet and love to be a part of it. We're happy to be a connectivity sponsor. We would like to thank PG&E for pulling our fiber out of the hotel about 4 months ago. So we had to re-pull it, and so thanks PG&E for that. Thanks to Dave Temkin and everybody at Netflix. We're happy to be a great partner with Netflix, and they have a great product. And thanks to all of you for making the internet bigger, better, and safer. Have a great NANOG 2 to the 6th, I think, right? Thanks a lot.
Okay, so as I said before, our incredible agenda is put together by the NANOG Program Committee, which is composed of NANOG members who are volunteers who devote a tremendous amount of time to this effort. The person who leads that is Tony Tauber, who's the chair of our NANOG Program Committee. Tony?
Thanks. And so just so people are clear, that's kind of the end of the sponsor and paid for part of things. No. You know, that was clearly all promotional, and that's our appreciation of the money and effort that they've contributed to making the meeting possible. The folks who actually help review and the program submissions from folks who would like to speak here are all listed here. They spend hours and hours over many months reviewing submissions, slides, working with presenters to develop their talks, and then even working here operationally to make the show happen through the presentations, you know, getting the slides up and onto the web page. So wanted to thank all these folks. Things that have happened since we last talked. There's a new PC tool that we had the first version of at the last meeting, but we spent a lot of time now with some contract development help, courtesy of the board funding it, to make our work easier and smoother, and to make the work of the folks who manage the website and this guidebook app to have automation to integrate all that so that it passes through without a lot of manual effort. Still working through some of the kinks, so if you see some things where not all the presenters have bios, or some of them aren't quite right, and the meeting materials aren't up a timely way, we're still working through the first version of that, so please have patience with it. The Grand Ballroom sessions will be webcast and archived, and you should see like a little webcast thing icon on the left-hand side of the agenda slot with those, and you can click on that and look at the webcast. After the meeting, there'll be a link added to a YouTube video, and we appreciate that Google and YouTube help to sponsor the archiving of the content. Many of the other tracks will, that happen in other rooms. Some tracks will happen in this room. There's a couple of other rooms that also contain tracks. We're trying to get as much of it videotaped and archived as well, even if it's not webcast. Can't promise that we'll have it all, but that's the hope and the goal. So be on the lookout for that. There's just some other program notes. So there's a tutorial that's tomorrow. There's two different slots, basically. There's a 9:30 and an 11 o'clock slot with a break in between. One of the tutorials runs through both of them, which is the NetOps coding one. So you'll see, if you walk into the second part of that, you'll maybe get the feeling that it's already been going. So that's why that is. Not to say that you can't do that, but just a heads up that if you want to learn that part, try and get there for the early session too. And here's another departure this time, and hopefully it won't catch too many people by surprise. There's the peering track. So traditionally, NANOG has had this thing called peering track. It used to be called peering BOF back in the days that Bill Norton started it. And it had a variety of different things, things that were special interest to interconnection, topics. And then it had a thing called peering personals that Bill thought up, where people would, at least I hope I'm giving Bill the right credit and not taking it away from someone else, where people would come up and talk about, well, I want to, I'm from AS whatever, and this is where we have presence and peer with us. And so there was that part, and then there was what they called IX updates, where folks who operated interconnection points would come and talk about things that they've done and new capabilities that they had on offer. So those, over the many years of NANOG, the focus of that seemed to be kind of getting stale, and also it seemed a bit promotional, where people were coming up and doing that kind of presentation. So what we did was we went with something now called Peering Personals, which is going to happen today, and there's a link on the website to submit a form, which people have done in advance. We may be kind of full up at this point, but like I said, this is a new thing, so we're kind of getting used to it. And so the peering personals will happen at 5 p.m. today, after the general session, and then the first track block, and they'll be toward the end of the day, but before the Netflix social, and that is programmed outside the purview of the program committee. So we do expect it to be, essentially somewhat promotional, where people come up and talk about their internet exchange, or they're from AS blah and they want to connect with other folks. There'll be some refreshments there also, so we'd like you to come to that. There's also a peering track, which will have non-promotional content as the goal, and that'll be on Wednesday afternoon, in the earlier part of the afternoon, where it had been in the later part of the afternoon. So this is a little bit of a change, and I want to get people the heads up that we're splitting those things apart. So the peering track will be topics related to interconnection, but in a more traditional NANOG non-promotional vein. So we've got a lot of different things. I tried to set this up as a slide that kind of built incrementally, but it didn't work out. So, regulatory, always popular. We have some of that this morning. One of the speakers was delayed, so we'll get him reslotted into tomorrow or the next day. Automation, we've got several talks about automation, in addition to the coding tutorial that I talked about tomorrow. There's a few other things that that's obviously a hot topic, IPv6 and its discontents. Whatever it's being rolled out, and some experience with that. New architectures and technologies, particularly on Wednesday, we have a number of talks that kind of clustered there. Measurements is always a big topic, so there's that. Security, there's a security track, but a lot of different talks about security. Three-letter word starts with S. No, it's not sex, it's SDN. Then and a lot of other stuff, and obviously, hopefully, you've all had a chance to look at the agenda and see what's on there. Just some reminders. So we've got outside the general session breaks in the espresso bar. That's a sponsored thing. What we would ask, though, is if you go out in that session in that area during the time where talks are going on, please try and be quiet or move just a little further away, because the doors open and close, and we get a lot of chatter and noise, and it's very distracting. So appreciate your consideration there. Breakfast and lunch, as Dan also touched on, they're going to be, it was supposed to say not overflow, but they're on the 32nd floor. So that's the elevator that hopefully will not have any more outages, and will take you right to the cloud. So yeah, I can't believe no one got that before. No one. But I mean, I can't believe no one hit that one. Okay, so QA and microphone guidelines. So there's two microphones in each of the aisles, forward and back. And what we'd like to do is, toward the end of most of the presentations, we invite people to come and ask questions of the speaker and have a little back and forth. so queue up, and we'll try and distribute it fairly. Pick the people as they first arrive to the queues, and fit in as many as possible. I mean, we have a full agenda, so we need to keep things moving. So please don't feel slighted if we do get cut off. We'll hopefully give you some warning that that's going to happen. Introduce yourself with your name and affiliation. Please be respectful and courteous. I think that's normal. Stay and listen to the answer, and make eye contact with the person who you've asked a question of. That's kind of normal stuff, but maybe not everyone gets it. And please be brief and to the point, not go on a long rant and make a statement. Let's see, surveys. Okay, so the program committee and the other planning aspects of the meeting really can benefit from your feedback. So we have surveys, and we'd like you to take them. I think they're available not only on the website, but through the app, the Guidebook app. And to help encourage your participation, we have some giveaways, which I think is a $500 Amazon gift card. And there's going to be 3 different giveaways, right, Betty? Okay. So that's pretty nice thing to, you can obviously spend it on almost anything there. Or you can get almost anything there. You can spend it on anything. But so we'll do one on Tuesday morning, fill out surveys on Monday after the content's done, and then on Tuesday morning we'll do a drawing. You have to be, I think, in the room to receive it. Okay. And Wednesday morning for the Tuesday surveys, and likewise last Wednesday afternoon for the at the end of the conference. So we encourage you to stick around and also fill out all those surveys. So with that, I'd like to, one more program note before I go on to this, is that one of our speakers was delayed. I think I mentioned that from this morning. Ross Buntrock, who's going to be the speaker after next, who is slotted to be, wasn't able to make it. So the good side is the other speakers will have time to expand a little, and maybe we'll end up breaking a few minutes early for lunch if it comes to that. But so please, we'll get Ross rescheduled and fit in. But that, when you look up and say, okay, who's on now, and it's Ross's time, it won't be Ross, it'll be one of the other folks, and we didn't get a chance to update the agenda online yet. So with that, I can invite you can go, you're excused.